I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like. So listen, we are through the first hour, right on schedule through the first hour of the 8th annual 2020 Annus Horribilis Supercross Winter Solstice. It could get worse. COVID pandemic, White Walker, Boku, Foku, Hubert Henry Harrison, Hate Awards. And we are moving on to the next topic here with my brothers, Doctors Hate and Burroughs, to the Nat Turner Christopher Dorner Tilikum Award. And Dr. Haight, do you want to say anything in what's the word I'm looking for? Context or description about the name of this award and how we've come to put it together?
Yes, so it's nice to think about the historic efforts of African people to liberate themselves from the confines of white supremacist oppression. But it's also nice to think about what people are doing currently. And if you can celebrate what Nat Turner did and say the conditions haven't changed, then the people who engage in a Nat Turner-like activity should also be recognized for engaging in the hate that hate produced. So if you celebrate Nat, then you got to look at Christopher Dorner, who gave you this wonderful, wonderful run on saying, I tried all of the democratic ways to achieve justice within the police department and found that at every turn I was denied, and then it turned on me. So instead of allowing you all to carry out the injustice, I will carry forth justice myself and find you. And Christopher Dorner went out there and found his targets, and then eventually had to go on the run and found his demise at the hands of a president. Which president was that again? Oh, that was during Obama's term. And how did they get him? They found him holed up in the wilderness inside his cubby hole, and they dropped a bomb on this dude. Now, Christopher Dorner, we ain't gonna forget about you. And then Tilikum.
Can I just add real quick about Dorner that I just think it's important to point out that he was a cop, that he saw the firsthand vicious racist abuse of the police on Black and brown people. He saw Black and brown and Asian participants along with that abuse. He tried to let people know about it. I read his manifesto back in the day when everybody, and for whatever people want to say about him, just like they said about John Brown and many others, when I remember reading John Brown's, going to the library and reading his statement to the court and saying, this man wasn't crazy. Again, however you feel about his behavior, it wasn't crazy. And he was saying, I tried to petition, I tried to submit reports, I tried to whistleblow, I tried to, quietly maneuver around it, and it was impossible. And it pushed him to where he felt that his only conclusion was to take violent action against those who he saw doing it against everybody else. So anyway, I just wanted to add that quick point real quick, but go ahead, please.
And so it was the logical conclusion that you don't reason with terrorists, and you don't negotiate with terrorists, and you don't look for moral reasoning from terrorists, and you don't look for hope with terrorists. They will terrorize you if you do that. So now, Tilikum, there's a whole documentary called Blackfish, came out a couple years ago on Netflix, and talked about how all of these so-called orca, so-called killer whales, really super smart dolphins, who operate like family, were separated at birth, stolen from their family, and then raised up to be entertainment for people who wanted to go see wildlife under controlled situations. And I don't know what it was about watching that documentary, but I just identified with that big fish. And they showed that big fish turning on its trainer, biting the hand that fed it, but recognizing it's not the hand that feeds me. You can't steal me from my family and then say I did you a favor. That's colonial debt. So somehow Blackfish was an anti-colonial revolutionary who ended up trapped in his cage And when they entered the cage, they expected civility out of this trapped fish, and Tilikum turned on them and would just drag them underwater.
And again, though, they show you in that documentary that these whales have familial relations, methods of communication. They recognize, their surroundings, recognize when they're being forcibly separated. They showed you when they're literally the babies crying as their parents are being dragged away by these whaling ships. So the content, I mean, it was, to me, very clear. The connections were very clear. And then when he went and started snatching them up, they said, he's crazy, and we need to look, what is, and then they showed how it was his descendants, right? Because it was literally his children that genetically were predisposed to do the same thing, and were snatching their trainers or masters up and saying, we don't accept this. And it forced, just like Nat Turner and those like him, it forced the state to rearrange its own rules. So,
and I just want to say, these are things that another crazy group, crazy in quotes, called the MOVE organization, were protesting in the early 70s, because their first big protests were protests around zoos.
That's right. And by the way, please go to imixwhatilike.org and check those conversations we had with Dr. Burroughs and Lynn Washington about MOVE and the 40 Years a Prisoner documentary and all of that, and Mumia and all of that. So yeah. Okay.
Can I just say something? I just want to confess something to y'all.
Because we only have, we're down to 4 minutes left on this category, and we have to lay out the nominees. Okay. But go ahead. Yeah.
I never watched Free Willy.
Neither have I. I never watched it either.
I don't think that little white dude was trying to really free Willy. Because when they dropping bombs in Vieques, nobody go to the manta rays and be like, Free Willy.
Well, first of all, I haven't seen any of them either, but there are like 3 of them. So if there's like 3 or 4 Free Willies, it suggests ain't nobody trying to get free, because if they free Willy, it's over. Ain't no more Willie. Willie went on to be free. Never Willie got like Democracy Never in Africa. What was it? Democracy Never in Africa Never, something like that. What was it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Never Free Willie.
Okay, so the nominees: Corey Ali Muhammad.
Now, who's Corey Ali Muhammad?
Wait, before we say that, right? Let's just name this next one, and then come right back.
All right.
The next one is the NFAC Grandmaster J or John Fitzgerald Johnson.
That's right. So we only have 2 nominees this year for the Nat Turner Christopher Dorner Tilikum Award. Corey Ali Muhammad and John Fitzgerald Johnson of NFAC.
So Corey is somebody who said he was tired of racism and killed a white man, and then was driving afterwards and found out that he was wanted. And he said, in for a penny, in for a pound.
Wow.
Isn't that what that means? So he went out and killed 3 more white men. Now,
because he said he was going to get locked up anyway.
He was going to get locked up, right? And somewhere along that line, I think he watched Free Willy and Blackfish in the same day, and it caused confusion. And he was like, I'm going with the documentary. So Corey Ali Muhammad got to be on this list. We've had other folks, the brother who was working at the brewery before.
That's right.
Tired of dealing with all of the folks at the brewery who were racist, and said, I'm going to go in here.
And called the police and said that.
Yeah.
With his white girlfriend, by the way. Remember, he had a white girlfriend. And and they went on the news. She and her mother went on the news after they killed him, or he killed himself, and said, he was cool with us, so there must be something to why he was bad enough to start shooting these other white folks. So, I mean, anyway.
Now, I don't have much to say, but I know you did some great interviews with one of our favorites, Dhoruba bin Wahab, around the NFAC, the John Fitzgerald Johnson, aka Grandmaster J. I've been looking for his mixtape. I couldn't find it, but what did you guys talk about with Dhoruba and the NFAC?
So quickly, just because we're down to 30 seconds on this category, just keeping time. Obviously we can hate on the time too, but just so we're aware that actually we did 2 interviews with conflicting views. So Dhoruba bin Wahab said this dude is a clown, more or less, and people can go back and look at the interview and clarify or check me if I'm misinterpreting it. But as I remember, he was saying this dude is a clown. He's not to be taken seriously. It's likely a setup. He may be an agent. There was, it's too suspicious. We shouldn't be paying this much attention to this guy saying, he's going out here and he's going to, arm self-defense white folks. On the other side, we did an interview with the African Esquire, Tierney Cherie, where she on her platform had talked about, and she described with us how she talked about how we're being encouraged to look at him that way, and we should look at him at least a little bit more seriously before we have more information to say, why are we being encouraged to make fun of somebody who is saying, as we've sort of comedically talked about in terms of a long history of, it said we're going to arm, self-defend, and protect our communities, which whether it's Robert Johnson or Malcolm X or others have shown has an affirmative influence on generating peace. So, for me, I would just, say I don't have enough information. I'd like to know more. There seemed to be a good degree of organization with him and his crew in terms of how they approach public use of guns and the laws around guns. And it seems odd that he was, it seems set up saying that he was pointing a gun at a federal agent, and that's why he was locked up when, So anyway, I would rather err. I hate to say that I don't want to disagree with Dhoruba, but I would rather err on the side of Tierney Cherie and say we should support in general the attitude among Black communities being targeted, especially what happened last week in the Capitol and what's being predicted to come in this month, of Black communities organizing self-defense, again, with training and the way they seem to be doing it with NFAC, at least what little I know. Anyway, so that's probably the side I would err on for that.
So it's a hard one to nominate. We got anybody in the chat putting other names up?
Let's see. We got some good jokes. There's some comedic haters. There's a lot of comedy in there. In for a penny, in for a pound. Penny Marshall, Maurice Clemens. I'm not sure if I know who that is. Free Willy Bojangles Robinson. Wow. Gotta give the Dorner Award to the young folks in Minneapolis. They set off a nationwide rebellion. That's a good nominee. That's a good nomination. By the way, folks, I see you talking about Black Thought and Jaguar Wright. Please stay tuned. That's all I just want to say. Hold on and please stay tuned. But that's all I see. I don't see any other nominees in the chat. Oh, Killer Mike. I don't think. Wait a minute. That might be for something else. I don't know if that qualifies for this.
I think they clowned it.
Yeah, they might be clowning. I think they're clowning. But here we have a vote for NFAC, and here someone is saying is that they're sus. So I don't know. It does seem like it's a tough one. Killer Mike got to get one of these awards. We'll see. Stay tuned.
I'm going to punt and say the people in Minneapolis.
Yeah, they got another vote. I might punt and jump on that one too.
I like Corey's rationale.
But you know what? That's a good point too.
I like Corey's rationale.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead. I'll rock with that one for this, for the tradition of the Hate Awards and the Chris Dorner Award and the Yeah, so I'll go in with that, and we can go ahead and say that Corey Ali Muhammad, who may need a secondary award for the William Kunstler Colin Ferguson Defense Award, we'll go ahead and nominate and go ahead and give him the Nat Turner Christopher Dorner Tilikum Award for 2020, and we hope that holds him over, as I know he's about to go through one hellish ordeal.
I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.